Hi, my name is Shannon and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is basically going to be me showing you how I made these shorts on the Sentro knitting machine. Hold on, let me grab the shorts. Yeah, I made these shorts on the Sentro knitting machine. Well, clearly I just said that, duh. But yeah, I made them and I made like a little bikini top to go with it and I posted it on TikTok and people were asking me for a tutorial. And so I posted a tutorial and it did pretty good on there. So I was like, oh, let me share my knowledge in the YouTube world. And so that's why I'm doing this video. And what you'll need to make these shorts is some waste yarn, the yarn you want to use to actually make the shorts, a darning needle or a tapestry needle, some scissors, and a crochet hook. And of course, your central knitting machine. Just in case I forget to say it later on, I am using a 48 peg central knitting machine. And thank you for watching, and I hope the video helps. Leave some comments below, like the video, share it, and yeah, thank you. Okay, and so here we have our 4.5 mm hook and my scissors and darning needle. And for my waist yarn, I will be using this yarn from Premier. I believe it is called Sage and it is Premier DK weight yarn, as well as some more Premier DK weight yarn. And I believe this color is called Lilac. And I did forget to mention, you will need something that will count the rows that you do. And so I use the Vivid Counter on my iPad. Granted, this does come with like your counter, but I don't use it. And I did have the little thing up here that counted your rows, but as you can see, it's not one there. And another thing I will mention is that I have my setting set to tube because it just makes it easier for when we go ahead and actually start knitting and around. Okay, so starting on peg 3, what you're going to want to do is take that tail end of your waist yarn and put it under peg 3, and then in every other peg you're just going to place the yarn in there, and that is how you cast on. And I am casting on until I reach the 45th peg, and that is the peg I usually use, and it fits me just fine. And so I reached the 45th peg, and I'm going to go past a little bit so that way it does go down, and then I'll crank it back some, place my yarn in this little tunnel, if you want to call it that, and then I'll place my yarn in that second loop. And so basically all this is doing is just casting on. And then also the point of the waist yarn is if you want cleaner edges and in case like the yarn snags or something happens, this is your time to catch those mistakes. And so now what you're going to want to do is just reverse everything backwards. And when I get to the third peg, I will go to the second one so that way it clamps it down, and then you just reverse it. So you can do as many rows of waist yarn as you like. Typically, I do about 10 to 15 rows and then I'll put my yarn back. So I'm going to do that and I'll come back when it's time for me to put my yarn on here for the shorts. Okay, so now that I'm done casting on my waste yarn, I'm going to get my scissors. I'm going to cut that, and then what you're going to do is just remove this, place it in there, get the yarn that you want to use. This one doesn't have my center pull ready, and so here's my center pull. I do like the center pull, if you cannot tell. And now you are going to crank this up a little bit until it reaches peg 2. Place your yarn in there, and also place your yarn in the second hole. And now this is when you really want to start counting. And so I like to do 42 rows, well, 41 rows, if you will. And you're just going to go back and forth until you reach 41. And then I'll come back and show you how you connect them to make your tube. So let's get it. And so this would be your row 1, and you would just hit the vivid counter. Oh, let me redo it. Reset. So once you do that, that's your row 1. Tap that, and you got 1. Then go backwards. Row 2. And you're just going to keep doing that until, like I said, you reach 41. And this will eventually drop off, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Okay, and so I made it to my 41st row. And now what you're going to do is cast on again, like how we did in the beginning. So doing every other peg, and then just put your yarn back into that canal, and you're going to proceed with how we were doing it before. And now, as you can see, the clicker will be moving. And so to them, that was row 1, which is fine. And I usually keep turning until I see it hits 18. Okay, so it's clicking to 18, and what you're going to do is keep moving it until you see that the third peg has raised up. You're going to take the yarn that you were using, put that in the center, and then take your waste yarn, put that in there, and you're just going to keep cranking until you have about maybe 7 to 10 rows. Or you could do more, doesn't matter, it's your preference. Okay, and so now that I made it to about the 5th peg, what I'm going to do is put that in the middle and just crank it. And as you can see, by doing that, it rolled off by itself. And so now you are left with this, and this is what you should have. So we're going to take it from looking like this to looking like this. And basically, this is the finished panel where I just did half double crochets along each border. And yeah, so I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, and so as you can see, I left my yarn connected to the yarn ball so that way, it alleviates one extra step. So what you're going to do is along here, you're going to put your half double crochets or double crochets, whichever crochet stitch you want. I will recommend that for the shorts part, well, the part that goes around your leg, not to do the single crochet because you don't have much stretch. So, yeah, and that's why I kind of prefer to do the half double crochet. So, what you're going to do is put your hook through that loop, do a chain one, and then yarn over and put your hook through that other loop, and that is what you're going to do throughout the whole shorts. So that loop, yarn over, put it through, go through all three, and now we are back at the first stitch. And so what you're just going to do is slip stitch right there. Chain one, get your scissors, cut it away. And so as you can see, it does stretch out. And then what you're going to do to get this part off is from here, you're just, well, you can leave it inside out, that's fine. You're just going to pull and it will unravel itself. I don't know if you can see. Then you got that final pull. And now you are left with this. And basically, you're just going to do the same thing that we just did, except for on the top part for where your waist goes. So create your slip knot. And put it through this first loop. Chain one and do your half double crochets. Okay, and so we've completed it, and this is what it looks like. And so now it's going to be different from the other side. And so what you're going to do is where you see these green bumps, you're just going to pick it up and pull it. And it will detach itself. Oh, and if you want to tie these two together as well, you can. And so basically, that is how you're going to detach the green yarn from your project. And I like to do it in sections because sometimes if I don't do it in sections, it might get tangled up. And then you have your one final pull. If I can find it myself, sometimes it do be a little tricky, not gonna lie. But I enjoy the satisfactory pull off. Okay, here we are. Okay, and so now we have both panels completed. And so this is what you will have. Okay, so here comes the fun part. I have my darning needle or tapestry needle, and what you're going to do is thread it right on through. I am not left-handed. Okay, and set that down for now. Turn your shorts inside out. And so this is the wrong side. So the wrong side should be facing you. And then place these two together. You will need stitch markers for this step. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. If you want your shorts to if you want to be really particular about how you sew them together, you will need stitch markers. And so these are the stitch markers that I have. And what you're going to do is starting from the top of your shorts. So you see how when I pinch these together, they're like V's. I don't know if it's focused or not. Yes. So you see how they get V's on both sides? You'll be lining up the V's and just stitch markering them together. And you can count down so that way you can make sure it's the same row. But I don't necessarily do that, and the shorts still turn out fine. So, yes, as long as you're lining up your V's, you will be okay. And you're putting a stitch marker underneath both V's. And so for the crotch area, I typically would just place a stitch marker anywhere because nobody's gonna necessarily see that area, and then just make sure my V's line up again. And I will start back up at the top just to make sure. And so what you will have is this. And then now you're going to get your needle and start sewing them together. Now you can either sew it or do a slip stitch. I just prefer to sew it. So, yeah. And once again, just going to line up your V's. And the top part will be kind of hard, so don't stress out about it. I typically just go to where I can find the cleanest V and stick my needle. And you're going under both V's. And I do this going back and forth. And now I've reached my first stitch marker and we can take it out. And so it should look like this. Sorry if it was blurry. Okay. And so for this part, I typically try to find the V's and still keep the same sewing pattern. Until I can't make out the V's anymore, and then I would just go to what you can consider the edge of it and then just sew across. But as long as you're going under 2 strands of yarn, that is fine. Now, if you wanted a cleaner edge, some people would either slip stitch along the edge of their knit projects or single crochet. I haven't reached that level of patience yet to do that, so I just do it this way. And we reach this, take it out. And now we are reaching the other side of the shorts. And we'll keep doing the go under two strings method until you can make out your V's. Swing it around and then pull it through. And just in case I was not in the camera, go through both sides and then put your needle through and pull. And now I get my scissors and cut. Get my scissors and cut from when we first started. And now you have your pair of shorts. Now it will be open like this. You can go in and sew that part together. And if you want, in case they do not fit you correctly, you can make a waistband, i.e. you would just do this and do a slip knot and just start chaining to make your waistband. And of course, weave in your ends. And yep, but that is how I make my pair of shorts. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, let me know in the comments. Bye!